Right, and meanwhile, coming up for our next presentation on the stage, Risk and Rescue. Put your hands up and give a warm welcome for Maxime MIDE.
Hi everyone. First, thank you very much for having me here. My name is Maxime MIDE, and I am absolutely amazed to be here. Today, we are going to have quite a few talks with me. The first one is going to be Risk and Rescue, the role of dive medics in exploration. First, a little bit about myself. Up there. I'm a technical diving photographer and cinematographer. I spend a lot of time diving very, very deep area, bringing back images for everyone, that it is social media, commercial, etc., etc. I'm one of the explorers from Bottom Line Projects. If you have never heard of it, I will explain to you what it is later. I'm a member of the Thai Tech Diving Search and Rescue team. I spend a lot of time trying to find lost people or sometimes boats that sunk, etc., etc. I'm also an emergency diving medic. I spend, when I'm not diving in the wet, I dive in the dry, where I'm doing hyperbaric medicine, so chamber dives. And I'm also an SSI instructor. So when I'm not doing all of this, I teach diving. So these are a few pictures where you can see what I do, rescue or something a little bit less glamorous, like holding tanks with some of you here in the audience, holding tanks to go into cave, trying to find new cool places, making some photography and films to bring out. So let me just introduce you a bit what Bottom Line Projects is. Bottom Line Projects is an NGO. You may have heard of it if you were here during Miko's speech on Friday. It's an NGO, it's passionate divers. We are a group of explorers, and we wanted to explore deeper places, the places that are not really well known in the area, like cold water. We wanted to do document things in a bit of a different way that what normal people will use. We didn't want to do the full scientific thing. We wanted to do something closer to people. But so obviously exploration means sometimes things don't go the way it has been planned. And we had the need for diving medicine. And my role here in this team is mostly diving medicine. Dive medics. Let me just introduce you a little bit to what dive medics do. Most dive medics are a critical part of any diving operation. We do a lot of diving emergency care for extreme environments. So when diving goes well, everything is fine and we never heard about us. When unfortunately diving goes not so well, this is where most people see us. We do also have some responsibilities in terms of pre-dive check. We are not doctors, we are medic, so we cannot just say, oh, yes or no, but we can give a good information into we are, like this should be okay, this shouldn't be, I really don't recommend you to go diving, etc., etc. We are also designing a lot the emergency plans for especially this expedition, that they are just diving, like actually even normal operation, or just somewhere, anywhere, we can design those plans. And we obviously are here when things goes wrong. Preventing emergency. I think that is one of my most favorite part of the job. I work in Koh Tao in Thailand, and what you see behind here is our chamber. And the lovely people with me are some of the dive masters in training. We spend an incredible amount of time actually trying to teach people what is diving emergency, what is a chamber, how, like, actually that it's not so scary, that it is something that can happen to anyone, and also trying to bring them information, because there is a lot of misinformation even at the highest level of training. We sometimes see that the information that they are being given and the actual real truth sometimes is a little bit divergent. So we try our best to talk about this, talk about diving accidents, talk about personal emergency. I ended up in a chamber once. You're gonna hear about that a little bit later, but it's not the end of the world. Sometimes things don't happen, and we need to talk about this. Medical emergencies in scuba. One of the most well-known, I believe, is DCS, decompression sickness. If some of you guys don't dive, it's basically when we go diving, we start to accumulate nitrogen. And when we come up, sometimes this nitrogen gets out a little bit weirdly or not really correctly, and then it can give you a lot of problems. Pulmonary barotrauma, some people that have that hold their breath and unfortunately ascent may have some trouble with health after this. And then there's also a lot of more package, like nitrogen narcosis, oxygen toxicity, things like this that can happen during a dive. Now, we're still on land. We're not very talking about like deep problem or rescue or expedition, but oxygen therapy is the best treatment. Like, you would be surprised by how much amazing wonders does oxygen to someone that has any kind of problem. We often see at our chamber where I work that people that have a suspicion of DCS, that are being given oxygen immediately, are pretty much symptoms free by the time they end up in the pier, which is 15 to 20 minutes. Obviously, sometimes we need a bit more treatment than just oxygen. It's a bit like if you have a burn and you're putting cold water on it. Sometimes it doesn't very treat the problem under it, and this is where hyperbaric chambers are great, is they actually help the underlying problem to be solved. So this is great. Like, if it's the daily operation of a dive center and there's a chamber next to us, it's good, but what about exploration? Well, obviously, when we start to explore the world, things get much more tricky. Cave and mine diving, we don't have access to direct surface, so it starts to get obviously much more dangerous. We have sometimes different environments, zero V's, cold currents, many things can happen. And obviously, the risk on people is increased, especially psychological problems that can arise during such dives. So how do we do things? Well, before we go anywhere, especially I, do a risk assessment of what we are doing. Okay, what is our plan? What are we gonna do? Where are we going? What are the hospital capability around? If in case something goes wrong, what do we do? Where do we go? Procedures, evacuation, how do we communicate with people? And literally the entire plan. So I tried to make a folder with all of those infos, and you're gonna see later on with some personal experience that those things are actually very helpful. Of course, as I was explaining, during expedition, the risk factor increased. We literally don't know where we are going. Most of the time, those expeditions start by an idea or a Facebook post or something like this with, oh, there is a very cool hole here, let's go and explore that. We have no idea where we are going. We have no idea what we're gonna find. And most of the time, those places are super remote. Very remote. Obviously, because we're exploring and because we sometimes are in a little bit overhead, the risk factor is increased. Because of course we're here for a reason. We have spent all of those time, those logistics, those money to explore this place. So we don't want to leave just there. We want to push it to the maximum. As I said earlier, those places are remote. Sometimes we're talking days away from any hospital or chamber. So we need to think about this. And sometimes wildlife and other risks arrive that we didn't think of. So that's actually my first story. We were exploring with a group of friends in a place called Saturn. It's a beautiful area. We were there, and there is this flooded cave that is part of a national park. The cave, we believe, is the longest in the entire Asian continent. So far, around 3 kilometers of line have been put in, and it just goes, and it goes, and it goes, and it goes. So bottom line project and many members, we all went go down there, and we decided, hey, let's spend a week there, and then explore all the cave, and then let's go do things, and etc. And it was cool. So we started, we're like, okay, so capability, everything good. We have a hospital next door. We are not far from the street. We are not far from any kind of infrastructure, very easy. You know, like those kind of things that seems very, very nice to you, but actually, like the devil is in the details. So, so we started exploring, we started diving, everything is great. We found this good cave. And then obviously the local people there are like, there is more caves. So a good friend of mine that is here with me, Anand, I see you laughing, you know what's coming. We decided to go and then continue exploring this amazing area. This one. So we decided, it was a great time, we decided that it'd be great to start to find other cave that comes through. So we took the drone, we looked around and find kind of like a pathway, and then we're like, oh, let's go and find find thing and stuff. And you know, I mean, you know that sometimes there is thing livings in this area, but you just don't really you just don't really just the gist of it until you arrive right in front of it. So we're diving, we're in this wall, everything is fine until the rope that is tying the both of us, because we decided to have a line to see where we were going. We just found that in front of us. So one of the biggest python possible, right in front of your heads. Obviously, teeny tiny bit dangerous because those things can swim and also attack you. Wildlife, oopsie, didn't really think about that one. So in that case, we were like, okay, like this is one of the story where, oh, you did forget to think about the wildlife that was in the area, and that didn't help that also my dive buddy wasn't as keen with snake as me. But it was a very funny one. Medical equipment. This is something that we used to overlook. We used to be like, let's go and dive, let's go and do it. And that the next story is gonna actually bring you. Emergency oxygen kit. We dive mostly CCRs, so we do have a lot of oxygen. Trauma first aid kit. This is actually much more helpful than you think it will be. Airway management tool. When thing goes very, very bad, that is something you should have with you. And now we are starting to look into portable hyperbaric chambers, because in-water recompression is generally a very, very bad idea. Gear is a good thing, but being prepared, having people that have the skills to use those tools properly is a key part of it. Unconscious diver, doing CPR, continuing, it's like if everybody knows Michael Jordan, right? The first time he just played the ball and he didn't say like, oh yeah, it's cool, I can do that now. He's been training continuously, and this is something we should all do, not just once every 2 years a CPR, but actually practice that over and over again. Obviously, the last one, psychology. Always be ready for the unexpected. So this is a bit of a longer story, very personal one to mine. We had this crazy idea. So this was last September. Obviously, we wanted to explore that new place, and we were all like super hype about it. A friend of ours found this beautiful mine in the north of Thailand, very, very, very close to the Burmese border. And we wanted to go there, but we were very pressed by time. So we live in Koh Tao, which is south of Thailand, And we were going all the way up north, which was around 13 hours of drive one way. We only could dispatch 4 days for this, which already you're thinking 4 days is not enough. And on top of this, the guide that knew where the mine was in a different cave that we had to go and pick up on the way. So it actually went this way. We took the night ferry, drove to the first way, and not that obviously we wanted to wait for the people, because it's not that it's not enough, right? We decided to hike this mountain, go and pick up the guy, rappel down the cave, explore the cave, came up, pick up the person, go back down, and then continue our road. Everything is going well, everybody is having fun, we're taking pictures. One of those trips, great trip. We arrived to the place, the data. I was like, hey, I need to stop. I was the one driving. I need to stop driving. I've been driving for 10.5 hours, hiking the entire day, slept in a night ferry. It's too much. So we decided to stop and not to actually arrive to the dive site immediately. And it was already a good thing. And we arrived to this dive site, and it's beautiful. The mine looks insane. We are in the middle of nature. Everything is going well with the dives. And on the pathway, I started to look, and it's a very remote area. Here we are in the middle of the jungle. And I didn't make much of it, but we were driving in an off-road vehicle. And after the second dive, the guys did. I didn't dive that day yet. I really wanted to go diving. And they were emptying reels. So we're like, okay, let's do one more. And if you look at that picture in here, there is a drop of water on it. This was, I think, the one sign that we all didn't realize. So we're here sitting with our beautiful car, and you see the tire on the car are full of mud. And even though this is an off-road vehicle, there's only so much this kind of vehicle can take. This is a video of the way back. We got extremely surprised by the weather. It was not expected. We didn't expect having that kind of weather back. And we basically couldn't make it up. I don't know if it's playing. Thank you. So we were trying to get back the way up we were coming from, and yeah, it doesn't play. Well, and we couldn't make it up. So we decided to go the other way. We found a map, look at the map. There's another way. Great, let's take it. And it's going well, everything, but everybody is extremely tired at that point. We have been trying to come up this hill for around 25, 30 minutes. Obviously, we are all extremely exhausted. We can't make it up there. So we went the other way. And this is how we ended. So unfortunately, our car left off a bridge, and we ended up 3.5 meters down. So that's me here trying to contact emergency. Yeah, because obviously, as a very prepared dive medic, I had a Garmin satellite phone with me that I decided last minute to change spot, and I didn't remember where it was. Mistakes, right? There is always in the detail. So luckily, we were extremely lucky here. The only person that was injured was your dive medic. So the only person that is trying to use the entire kit that is there for you is injured. It ended up only being a few stitches. The car, unfortunately, got a little bit more damage than me. But this gives you an example of how low it was. I ended up, I didn't put any gore pictures, just only everything. I ended up with like around 40 stitches at the head and bad memories. But all of this story to tell you that learning the hard way is sometimes the only way you learn. One dive medic is good, multiple dive medic is much better. So nowadays, much more of a team is trained to use all the tools we have. We do have a much better protocol in terms of where is the gear, how does the gear go. We don't change the place of the gear, even though it's a great idea, never before an expedition. We also changed the way we decided to aboard this kind of project. We're not going there and doing 17 million times at the same times in 2 days. This is madness. We're taking much more time. We're not rushing into things. So, and obviously we just try to keep training and learn from both success and failure. We learned a lot from this failure. Unfortunately, this car got flipped again a few days later. Yeah, they repaired it and they flipped it again. Magic of Thailand that can fix everything. But yeah, we also started to look more into advance in the diving medicine and technology, rebreather safety. We use mostly KISS rebreathers that are very well known to be mechanical, so the human is the safety. So we're looking into much more like different tools as well. Underwater drone when we're doing search and rescue. And more it goes, and there is more AI and a lot of cool tools that I'm sure Dan knows about all of it, which is O-Dive to look into diving safety and our own amount of nitrogen in the body, and also enhance the experience of the divers to even nowadays much more AI monitored diving, like stress prediction, etc., etc. So a last word. I still have 4 minutes. A last word. Cave diving, expedition diving, and everything that it goes like this is very extreme sometimes. Things can go wrong. It's all great when things go right, but things can go wrong, and they will go wrong at one point. So being prepared, being trained for it. I see sometimes some dive instructor, open water instructor that are like, oh, I want to go cave diving. Yeah, it's really great. I love cave diving, but please do it properly. Please do it with somebody that has the training and get trained for it. Same thing. If you want to do expedition, get medically trained. A little bit is enough, but if you have and you plan to put your own expedition all together, then becoming maybe a dive medic, doing the amazing Dan DMT is great. There is a lot that you can do actually to help others and also to make yourself better for expedition. And obviously, stay current in terms of technological advancement. Also, in improving diving safety, there is a lot still being done and being discussed. So, yeah. I don't know if anybody has questions. Yes?
Right.
How heavy is a portable dive hyperbaric chamber?
So, how what?
How big, and what's an example of a portable one?
It's actually, so you can inflate them. So they are quite small. You can carry them in a petty case, pretty much. And then you can inflate them to like the design of a monoplace chamber. So you wouldn't have somebody with, like we've done later, we're gonna speak about hyperbaric chambers, but like you have different models of chambers. Those ones will be monoplace, so you basically have somebody inside and you will inflate them, and they resist a certain amount of pressure, and they will be filled with oxygen most of the time. So they don't go very deep, and you can put around like 2 to 2.5 meters, something like this. Like to put one person inside is enough. That's pretty much the size of it. And when it's fully closed, it's around something that high to a big box like this.
So is it the same ones that you use at altitude, high altitude?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same size. A little bit bigger because in altitude they don't sometimes have to use the same pressure. Like they use a little bit less pressure on there. There is different models, but most of the time they're roughly the same kind of.
Max, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Because I'm a drone freak. All right, Max, for water drones here, how long is the duration plus the depth?
Wow, to go diving?
Yes.
How long in duration?
Yeah.
I think in Bottom Line Project, the longest dive we did was 11 hours. Wow. So that's the longest of one of our members. They did 1 hour at 100 meter, 1 hour bottom time at 100 meter, and 11 hour deco. My longest one is 5.5. It's already it's already a lot. Most of the dive here are going to be between 1.5 to 2.5 hours. So something like this. This doesn't take into account the time to get the gear from outside the cave to where we dive. Most of those dives, we still have to take the kits with us, the entire dive kit, and then walk in the cave until we arrive to the water area. So there is also all of this hike and this preparedness to be considered. So.
Right. Thank you, Max.
Okay. No more question? Great. Well, thank you very much for having me, and see you in the next talk then.
Okay, thank you, Maxime. As we say, merci beaucoup. In the meanwhile, coming up shortly, we're going to have our next segment. It is a panel discussion.